Should you tip during your stay in a Punta Cana All-Inclusive resort? We say yes, and in this video we'll show you why, who, when, and how much to tip throughout your stay. Over the past 2 years, we've stayed in 23 all-inclusive hotels in Punta Cana, ranging from $130 to $655 per night with varying levels of service. Through personal experience and talking to dozens of staff members, we've compiled this comprehensive guide with actual dollar amounts to take the guesswork out of tipping during your vacation. While tipping is voluntary, let me briefly make our case for why you should tip. All-inclusive hotels are usually located in countries like the Dominican Republic, where labor is cheap for them to be profitable, and the wages of the service personnel are the lowest in the payroll. It's also worth noting that service staff in all-inclusives have work schedules similar to cruise ship crews. They can work up to 26 days without going home and sometimes up to 14 hours daily without overtime pay. Finally, you may ask, what about the 10% gratuity charge on my bill? That's supposed to be distributed among all the hotel employees. However, many resorts, if not most, pocket this money and give employees only a tiny fraction. We used to not tip in all-inclusives since we didn't bring cash to the hotel to begin with. After all, we had already paid for everything when we booked. However, after interacting with dozens of staff members, we've learned how vital tipping is to their livelihoods. We've been doing on-the-ground research for 2 years and found a balance between staff happiness and traveler budget. The following suggested amounts are meant to take the guesswork out of tipping in Punta Cana. Don't feel pressure to tip constantly. Do so only for good service. Needless to say, any amount over our suggested number would be even more appreciated. Front desk. They're not expecting to be tipped, but we like to tip them up front since they have some sway over which room you end up with. If you arrive earlier than the usual 3 p.m. check-in time, they may speak to housekeeping and try to get your room ready sooner. We usually tip $5 to $10. If you pay for any upsells like room upgrades, spa treatments, or special dinners, they get a commission, which would be a roundabout way to quote-unquote tip them. Bellboys. $3 to $4. Choose your tip based on how much luggage you bring, the distance from the front desk to your room, whether that distance is traveled on foot, and above and beyond actions like giving you a tour of the grounds on the way. Waiters. $2 at the buffet and $5 in a la carte restaurants. The servers pool all the tips and divide them amongst everyone, including hostesses, busboys, runners, and kitchen staff. Bartenders. No tip is needed if you get a drink and go. If you sit at the bar and order a few drinks, $2 to $3 is advised. The same goes if you make repeated trips to the bar to pick up drinks. You are more likely to be in this situation in pool bars. Pool waiters. Similarly to bartenders, don't feel the need to tip if you ask them for a single drink. However, if you ask for multiple drinks and sit there on top of taking your order during your stay in the pool, tip $2 to $3. Housekeeping. $5 to $10, depending on the length of your stay. When we stay for 2 nights, we tip $5. The more nights you stay, the bigger the tip should be, as they do daily housekeeping service. We've advised breaking the overall tip into smaller daily tips in case different maids do housekeeping on your room throughout your stay, but we've been told this is rarely the case and tipping at the end is fine. Nevertheless, we prefer tipping daily instead of at the end of our stay, as we feel they put in extra work each night and are not left wondering if we'll tip them at the end. If we had to choose one person to over-tip, it would be the housekeeper. Upscale resorts will include butler service with your room. It's not a butler like you see in the movies, but rather a staff member with several rooms assigned to him to help you make dinner reservations, answer any questions, and help you solve any problems during your stay. We've stayed in hotels where we've had a butler assigned and didn't use his services, so tipped nothing. And we have stayed in others where the butler has been very helpful and resourceful and tipped $20 for a 2-night stay. Servers in snack bars, coffee shops, and sports bars. $1 to $2. If you're anything like us, you'll visit these places often during your stay, so tips cannot be big or you'll break the bank. You don't need to tip every time you go either. As a rule of thumb, if you sit down and someone waits on you, then tipping is appropriate. Room minibar. In all-inclusive resorts, your in-room minibar is refilled every day to replace items you've consumed. Some people tip the person who refills it by placing the money inside the fridge, $1 a day or $5 at the end of your stay. We've seen some reviews online of people complaining about minibar items not being replaced, so a daily tip would make this less likely. Adjust these amounts upward when staying in more expensive resorts, and feel free to tip anyone not on this list, as it will be greatly appreciated. Make sure to bring plenty of singles from home for tipping. You might be able to exchange larger bills at the front desk, but sometimes they don't have small bills. You may also try your luck at one of the bars, but make sure you go later in the day, as they are more likely to have change in their tip jar. If you found this video helpful and want to tip us, watch this video of 16 tips to improve your all-inclusive stay.